What's up guys, this is Yasin. So as you guys probably already know, I went to YCS Mexico City last weekend and it was a blast, by the way, so huge shout outs to everyone that went there and everyone that I met and everyone that I played against. My tournament experience was complete insanity. Like, I kept playing against pro players one after the other. On round 2 I played against Dennis Nadas, and then on round 7 I played against Christian Urena when we were both 6-0. And I managed to win that one despite losing the dice roll and getting full hand loop for 5 cards. No, I didn't get Water Bear statue. Obviously, that would make no sense. Christian is much smarter than that. He played incredibly well, by the way, so huge shouts to him. And on round 9, I played against Pac. So, again, back to back to back. And I beat every high-level player that I played against. I mean, whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. I beat all of them, and I was able to go 9-2 in Swiss. So that meant that I was able to top the YCS. And that's really cool with Crystron yet again, because the deck is insane, especially in the right hands, like I said. But yeah, we will be going over the results, I guess, all the deck list and everything, and try to analyze this for whether or not it's relevant for the next format. But before we go any further, you already know the drill. As always, smash the like and subscribe button. Alright, so first things first, we had 1,432 players at that YCS, so it was actually a pretty big YCS. I mean, especially for, like, not really South America, but, you know, anything other than Europe and US, this is like a pretty decent number. So sometimes people think that these YCSs have like 500 players. They're completely disconnected from reality. And honestly, Yu-Gi-Oh just keeps growing more and more. Like, eventually I think Mexico might actually have like top 64s at one point. Maybe. It definitely is a possibility because Mexico is one big country. I just feel like people completely forget about this. But yeah, the YCS was won by Memento, and Rene was the player. So huge shout outs to you if you're watching this. Super cool guy, and I'm really happy that he won. And Memento is one heck of a deck. I mean, it's always going to be a deck, even though I think now Post-Alliance Insight is going to be a worse deck, because unfortunately Malice has a very good matchup against the deck because, you know, non-targeting removal that vanishes, kind of nasty. But yeah, this is terrifying. Honestly, going second against a deck like this, or even going first, you never really feel safe because they get 6 Chummies with 3 Book of Eclipse and 3 Forbidden Droplets, so they're breaking boards left and right. And this is actually how I got knocked out of top 16, because I got hit by Book of Eclipse and a Droplet at the same time. One or the other wouldn't have worked, but the combination of both is nasty. And I got Peruliad, so literally 4 non-engine cards that were played at 3, and I had to eat all of them in... I mean, except for Foros, but it wouldn't have changed much of anything, honestly. At this point, really changes nothing. So yeah, very scary deck, of course, and if it goes first, the end board is Insanity. I'm not seeing Proxy F Magician there, but this is a play that Pac was doing. Really cool how you can special summon a monster from the hand, but also obviously fuse in a fusion-based deck, so it makes sense because there's 3 very good monsters to summon on your own turn. So Creation King, which you can revive back off of the graveyard effect of Baphomet, which is obviously another fusion that you make, and of course the Twin Dragon. Very scary deck, like I said, for the 10th billion time, and ultra consistent, but unfortunately for Pac, he did brick on the game 3 against me. Which is weird when you think about it, because all you really need is kind of like one monster, and then a lot of the cards in your deck are live, like Bone Party. But yeah, he drew Bone Party, Memento Fusion, like Forbidden Droplet, and I think Droll and Lancia. Not the best hand. Definitely not. So yeah, very unfortunate, but still, Pac is the GOAT, right? And so are the Memento players that managed to top, and even the ones that didn't. So yeah, again, Memento, insane deck. We also had 2 Malice Sky Striker deck list in top 4, which again shows that Malice is a scary deck right now, and it's just going to keep getting more broken once we get Alliance Insight. Very interesting tech choices here of main decking Harpy's Feather Duster. And we're also seeing 1 Saronir because, you know, apparently triple Baldrick, Druazor, Magnamo, that's not enough. Very interesting also how there is no Lubellion package with the Saronir. Might as well, but again, at this point, everything makes sense if you understand how to build your own deck. Pretty much no hand traps, no Imperm. And also no Chummies, no Droll. Dominus Impulse and Ash are like the only ones, I guess, that you really, really need. Impulse is just such a crack card in the mirror match. Like, it's a board breaker and a hand trap. And Ash can negate the Chummies, so it is a no-brainer whether you play Ash or Droll. Both of them are really good for you. They're just not, they're not just good against the opponent. And the second deck list, I mean, very similar as well. A board breaker approach with a couple of hand traps this time. We are seeing the 2 Drolls, but we're still seeing the Saronir. And the Sky Striker package is, I mean, pretty standard, you know, Hornet Drones, Widow Anchor, Engage, etc. And then another deck list that is very interesting in top 4 was the pure Razial deck that managed to top. My god, I actually can't believe this is still a deck that can perform well, but it does make sense when you can play, like, still 13 starters with a Sakitama, which is like a semi-starter in case you have, like, Sakitama and, like, a Foros. It's not, like, super viable, but still. And then there's also Pot of Prosperity, so technically we're looking at, like, 14-ish starters But when you're not seeing one of those starters, you're playing a pretty bad deck. And there's a decent amount of like bad cards that you gotta play in your deck. Unfortunately, you gotta play the Node Razial, and then obviously the 2 field spells, which are not good to draw if you don't draw well. The plugin, the Gravedigger, and the Plasma Hole. So that's 2, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 bad cards. Yeah, it's definitely more than before, because back then the deck was just doing like 3 bricks. You know, 1 field spell, 1 plugin, and 1 node, no Gravedigger, no Plasma Hole, no second field spell. And also there's no Desires, so I don't really, I mean, yeah, it makes sense when there's literally just 2 copies of all the monsters. If you banish 2 names, you kind of just lose the game, so that's the reason why Desires is no longer a staple for pure Razial. Joey and Enzo, shoutouts to them, fellow North Americans, just like me. They both played interesting decks as well. Joey went with Bistol Fiendsmith, and I believe he was the only one in Top Cut with the deck. Don't quote me on that. Actually, Razial Bistol Fiendsmith, yeah, there you go. And Razial Fiendsmith Mathmech, never mind, I lied. Okay, so there was actually 2, and I remember that deck list. It's completely crazy. But yeah, some Bistiols in the main deck, of course, with Lubellion Regain. That's pretty cool, because you're not always gonna have like the best engine in your deck, which is the Razial engine, because it also bridges into the Fiendsmith. We're only seeing 1 Lacrima, which is very interesting, by the way, because if you're playing 2 Lacrima, it means that 1 Engraver is a full Razial combo, but we're not seeing that. So obviously, you gotta supplement your like the ceiling of your deck. I guess the potential of just applying pressure by playing other engines, and the Bestial engine definitely does make sense because it's hand shops, but it's also cards that are good for you because of Lubellion. And then this is Enzo's deck list. So he got top 8, just like Joey, but this time with Bistol Fiendsmith. So basically Joey's deck, but without Razial cards. And we're seeing 1 Small World in the main deck, which is super interesting. 40 cards. This is, I think, 11 starters. I'm not 100% sure on the number, but I'm pretty sure it is. So 3, 6, 9, 10, and then, yeah, 11 with the Small World. So yeah, we're not breaking too often. Very interesting inclusion of playing Infinite Impermanence in a deck that typically doesn't, because, I mean, Imperm is a card that will conflict with your Bestials, and you're playing so many Bestials that it's like, the timing for it can be a little weird. Same thing with, like, Imperm, but it's still not, like, the end of the world. And, I remember when people were playing Bistol Fiendsmith before, like, this card was, like, almost like a guarantee you don't play it. And now, all of a sudden, you know, we're going back and forth on it. Imperm is still a card that you want to play in this deck. This deck, I think, is still going to be pretty viable post-Alliance Insight, just because, again, you can play, like, 24 hand shops or something ridiculous. I'm vomiting a number out of, like, the blue, but I'm pretty sure it's, like, close to 24. So 5, 8, 11, 14, 17, 20, 23. So the Talon could have been a hand shop, or the Small World. So, yeah, I said 24. I was actually very close. So, yeah, you're basically always drawing, like, 2, 3 hand shops. Actually, 1 hand shop is, like, a 99.65% chance of happening. If you don't draw a hand shop in Bistol Fiendsmith, something is wrong with your RNG. Aaron, Felipe, shoutouts to you. You are the man that knocked me out of Top Cut. Very similar deck list as the winning deck list. I don't know if the winning deck list only played 1 Engraver or multiple, but I mean, it's not my first time seeing a similar deck list. Actually, 0 Engravers. That is very interesting. No Fiendsmith cards whatsoever, but we're still playing Moon of the Close Sky with Underworld Goddess, just that Moon this time is actually Moon. It's not just Requiem Turbo. So, yeah, very interesting, because this time, I know for a fact I got Fiendsmith comboed, and it actually mattered. And there was, like, the whole family as well, but Sequence is not summoning DS Irae. It is summoning Berphomet, or... yeah, yeah, it's really just Berphomet, actually. There's nothing else that you can summon. I don't even think you can summon this. Yeah, there you go, you can't. There's no way you'll ever have, like, a Fiend equipped with a monster card in your Spell and Trap Zone. I think you might be able to use the materials from your field. I forgot, but whatever, it doesn't matter, who cares. So yeah, cool deck list, of course. And then Mitsurugi Razial, I guess we can go over, because the deck is just gonna change anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, right now we're seeing 1 Futsu, we're seeing 2 Saji. Things are about to change. Futsu is gonna be getting cut. Saji is most definitely just going to be cut as a one-of, because now we're going to be getting Ramasu, and instead of Futsu, we've got Habakiri, which is obviously a much better ritual, because Habakiri actually does something, whereas Futsu is just like a name. You don't really care too much about him, and the shark cards are going to be completely useless. I don't really like the fact that there's like 1 good card and 1 bad card. I guess not, because 7 Tachyon, when you already got your Razial cards, you can just go for like surfacing big draws, and then you can go for the Starleech Photon Blast, which is not in here, because I guess it opens up the door to getting randomly nibbed for no good reason. But whatever, I mean, it's completely fine. I mean, pretty cool deck, for sure, but it's just gonna change, so there's no reason to waste time. Malice, Fiendsmith, Kashtira, I'm not really gonna go into it, it's just a waste of time. Angel, ooh, this guy went undefeated in Swiss and actually beat me. He was my first loss in Swiss, so again, a huge shout out to Angel. He played an absurd amount of handshops, and I can promise you that I got a handshot a few times against him. And I also saw the Bestials, which obviously were useless against me, but still, I got hit by Nib, I got hit by Ash, I got hit by whatever, Imperm, I think. Literally everything in here I know for a fact that I at least saw. And I also got hit by the Thrust on game 2 to set the DDG, and also I got hit by Talent a few times. Probably game 2 and game 3, actually, yeah, definitely. On game 2 he looked in my hand, and on game 3 he drew 2 cards in a simplified game states, and I'm pretty sure the draws were insane because I was not drawing well in top deck mode. But yeah, very good deck, and yeah, I mean, it's really nice to see a lot of Link monsters in Malice. Obviously, it's a Link-based deck, but a lot of the Link monsters, they kind of stem from your Fiendsmith combo, and this is a deck that is pretty much always locked under, like, being only able to summon, like, Link monsters. So that's because of the drawbacks of the Malice, so that's the reason why there's no Caesar, and the DSA Ray, you're not summoning it all the time. You're summoning it on, like, your follow-up play, but, like, your Fiendsmith engine still allows you to go into, like, Abaoku and also, like, set up your graveyard so that the Fiendsmith in Paradise can do something. There is no TB11 in this deck, meaning that White Rabbit does absolutely nothing at all. And yeah, there's really not a lot of starters. Exactly like I said, there's only 2 Dormouse, 1 Rabbit, and 2 Field Spell. There's no Terraforming and no Gold Sark either. So there's like 4 starters in your deck. That's like literally nothing. But you can draw like Cheshire Cat and a Bestial, and that gets you going. On game 2 against me, he drew Cat, Lubellion, what was it? Field Spell, and then Talent and Thrust. Pick a better hand. I got demolished. And my only hand shot was Droll, so I drolled him. He went Talent, look at my hand, remove whatever, and then, you know, Thrust into DDG. I was like, I was losing anyways. You know, like Cheshire Cat and Lubellion, that's already good, isn't enough as it is. Even under Droll, right? Because, you know, I droll on Lubellion searching Magnamote, even like through that. Like the Malice deck is just so good at beating hand shops. So again, huge shoutouts to Angel, and also shoutouts to me. And shoutouts to my beautiful Crystron spreadsheet, which you can find on my website, yacineygo.com. For only $20 US, you also can master this deck and get as much success as I did with this deck. It treated me super well. I love this deck from the bottom of my heart, and I'm gonna keep playing it for the... not really like right now, but honestly until it dies. Like, this deck will never really die, honestly, because there's no cards I can look at and be like, yeah, they're definitely gonna die and prevent this deck from being good. Like the Kashtiras, even if they get banned, I couldn't care less because the K9 engine is just gonna replace them naturally anyway. So even if we do have every single Kashtira, K9 is significantly better, so I cannot wait for them to come out in the TCG, which is gonna happen on Justice Hunters, which we're getting on July 30th, if I recall correctly, or like August 1st, which means that it's right after all the WCQs that get you to Worlds, but also 2 weeks before YCS Vancouver. So keep that date in mind, because if you plan on going there, not only will you have to deal with K9 and Crystron, but also Dragon Tail, Yummy, and I guess K9, you know, as a whole. And K9 actually changes Yu-Gi-Oh! Quite a lot, because Izuna is a generic hand shop. It's kind of like how, you know, Rescue Ace, sorry, I forgot the name, Preventer, and like, no, actually it's something else, whatever, like, there's always like those kinds of like archetype-specific hand shops in quotation, that become like generically abusable in other decks. But K9 is going to be like much better, and if your deck plays level 5s, then it is inherently, you know, much better to play with K9. And Crystron, speaking of the devil, plays incredible level 5 monsters, and 1 rank 5 gets her stuff going because of the Infinite Track River Stormer, which can search Scrap Recycler, and you can actually use the effect of the monster twice, because it is not a hard once per turn, so you normal summon it after searching it off of Scrap Recycler, because the K9 engine does not take up your normal summon, and then you can revive back off of Clockwork Knight. And Clockwork Knight, the on-field effect actually mattered for me on this tournament. So yeah, literally every effect that you can think of, I always abuse literally everything. But yeah, I've already explained my deck profile on, on my deck profile video that I uploaded literally the day after topping the YCS. So if you still have questions, obviously you can just go there. It's probably just gonna, you know, answer everything. And again, there's also, there's always gonna be my spreadsheet. It's always gonna be available, and I will be updating it every single time. And the Discord server community that you get off of the spreadsheet is probably like the best value. It's really insane. We're like over 300 players, really recommend. Yeah, that's it for Crystron, of course. Unfortunately, Christian Urena with Mermail. incredible opponent, probably one of the best players I've ever faced in my life, so huge shoutouts to you. Blue-Eyes Primite, very interesting, and oh, actually, this is even more interesting. This is insanity, and I actually kind of laughed when I saw that, because, like, I think, right, like, the day of day 2, I've uploaded a video on, like, if you should, like, play the Mathmech engine in your decks, and I said, obviously, like, it increases the ceiling and stuff like that, but it also introduces a lot of bricks. Clearly, this guy just didn't give two shits, you know, like, he said, circular is now a thing, might as well abuse it, and you know what, it actually worked out for him, so huge congrats. One circular, one diameter, one nabla, one super factorial. The rest of the deck is super standard. But there's also 2 small world, I guess you can say. So if you draw like the Mathmech bricks, just who cares? Just small world them again. Like away. It's not the end of the world. I mean, yeah, it's like 3 bad cards because circular is not a bad card at all. It's actually an extender, if anything, even though like it doesn't really send any monsters that do something. So yeah, it's a cool deck. And if you go first with this deck and you do not get interrupted, and you draw Ice Razial, it's Exodia. You cannot lose the game. It's like 9-10 disruptions or something stupid like that. It's Razial Fiendsmith combo, but also on top of that, you got Super Factorial to like trish, quote-unquote, your opponent, and have a Nominee negate because of the diameter as material. Yeah, very scary stuff, and yeah, the Primate Blue-Eyes deck, it's kind of standard. There's probably like 16 handshafts, again, saying a random number. I do not like the Ultimate Fusion, and I understand the double Trill Beam, but there's just like less non-engine because of that. So yeah, 1 Magnamot, triple Fua, triple Ash, triple Valor, double Nib, triple Imperm, double Purge. So that's 7, 10, 12, 15, 17, 17 and 42. I'm not really going to count like the Drill Beams and the, I mean, yeah, Call by the Grave, I guess you can say, is actually a non-engine. But there's also Blue-Eyes Jet Dragon. Just feel like there's a lot of cards that I wouldn't really want to play in a deck that I think already has like somewhat like breaking issues. Especially when you're doing like 42 with only 2 Lordly Load. So that's like 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 starters. And I guess Magnamot is like a semi-starter. It's not like the end of the world, I think. And also there's Lina, so that when you nib your opponent and you summon like any monster, you can make Lina, Crash, Search Maiden of White, and then play the game from there. There's a lot of like creative ways of still playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Even when you draw like way too many handshafts, so that's completely fine. And this is like the fair version of Blue-Eyes, by the way. It's not like the unfair one with Fallen of Albaz where you actually like FTK the opponent. So yeah, really cool to see, I guess, fair Blue-Eyes do well. Snake Eye, we don't have the deck list, unfortunately, but I mean, it was a pretty cool one. It's a 40 card version, so it's nothing like too insane. No Millenniums, which I actually think is like the best way of playing the deck. There's another Blue-Eyes Primate deck over here. This one plays, I think, more handshafts from what I can see. So 4, and there's also Fallen of Albaz, so we're FTKing this time. And we're not playing Lubellion. We're only playing Albion, the Branded Dragon, so we have to fuse with a light monster. Except if you can also... Yeah, no, there you go. That definitely does not work, but we can also make Mirror Jade, so it's not really like the end of the world. But yeah, 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 15... Wait, hold on a second. Am I stupid? 4, 7, 10, right? 13... 16, 18. We're playing 18 handshafts, but in 44 cards. So I guess it kind of evens out, but I don't know. There's no Jet Dragon. There's no, like, Ultimate Fusion. So to me, at least in my eyes, this looks, like, visually cleaner because I despise those cards, even though I understand, like, the appeal. But at least for Jet Dragon, Ultimate Fusion I actually think is a win more when you're already playing Majesty of the White Dragons. And this card, you can loop it with a Blue-Eyes Tiger Dragon, so honestly, who cares? Apart from that, yeah, I mean, Mermail, again, this one had, like, WoW Warrior. It's insane. I don't know if he lost a bet or something and he had to play this card because I really do not see the appeal of playing a normal monster. It really just does nothing for you. It really could have been, like, something else. I really, like I said, I can't really understand why. No, not even the extra deck. Maybe this, yeah, the Magic Key monster. Yeah, so, yeah, it's like a way to, like, detach Dragoons, and then you, like, you know, it's... I don't know, it's just, I mean, do you really have to do that? Like, you can play Mermail normally, like a normal human being, not play the stupid card, and still do very well. So I think this is kind of copium. If you draw this card, you're gonna feel a little stupid, unless it can be just the discard fodder for Abystias, but even then, you want to discard like a good water off of Teus, not like a shit card that has like literally no effect. You know, in a perfect world, you're discarding Shadow Squad or Dragoons, and you're probably playing 40 cards, not 43 with a normal monster, but I'm not gonna complain too much. This is still a decent deck list. So yeah, shoutouts to this player, and the side deck is terrifying. The water, the ice barrier monster that you summon off of the what's his face? I'm not seeing it. Yeah, okay, so there's no Lancia, but there is Deep Sea Prima Donna that can still summon it, so it doesn't really change anything. It was either that or the water bear statue, but this guy was like, you know what, screw that. I'm gonna be playing all of them. Literally all the cards that can destroy you, and also the Ran Adrian that you can probably search and summon the Jimir Adrian, which is a very scary card. Very, very broken against a lot of decks. So, pretty nice. Very resourceful side deck. Malice, who cares? Snake Eye. Wait, what? There's 2 Snake Eyes? That actually makes no sense. I heard that it was only 1. But yeah, this is the 40 card list. No Millennium. And it's also more board breaker oriented than hand shops. Only hand shops are like Droll and Imperm. Apart from that, we're seeing Book of Eclipse, the Kashtira cards, which double down as, you know, I guess like good cards for you and good cards against your opponent. So that's always nice to have in your deck. I feel like when you're playing cash cards, your deck is just naturally better because those cards are just insane. They win games on their own. Fiendsmith Kashtira deck from Miguel Angel. Okay, wow, actually, so there were 2 Kashtira Fiendsmith decks that topped. And yeah, I mean, this one, no Kashtira Field Spell is super interesting. My god. Okay, and we're probably seeing like 20 hand traps, right? So yeah, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19. Yeah, I'm always close with those random guesses. That's really nice. And also Angel Statue Azarun with the rabbit. Also very interesting. And 2 sequence. Yeah, we were never losing to like Unicorn or Bestials and stuff like that. I definitely like that because the extra deck space is super loose. So if you're not playing, you know, I guess Ultimate Slayer or Metal Chonus, then you can afford to just play extra copies of the Link monsters that you're summoning. And the 3rd flex spot is Underworld Goddess. In case you didn't know, if you're playing, you know, a Fiendsmith Kashtira deck, there's always 12 cards that you gotta play. So literally everything that you see there, but the second sequence, the rabbit and the goddess, they're not like super staples. They're just like good cards to play in case you just have like the extra space. And then yeah, the White Forest deck list, we don't have the deck list. Yubel, very nice. I actually saw this player with my own eyes, I believe. 47 cards. There is the Unchained Trap, unfortunately. I'm not a big fan. And Chaos Summoning Beast. Yeah, that's too many breaks for me. Apart from that, I mean, it's an okay list. Yeah, Fiendsmith Sanct is actually pretty cool. I don't think it's like a super necessary card, but it's not bad in case you have like redundancy. But there's only 1 Tract, so I don't really understand the purpose. It's not like you're always going to be drawing Engraver and Tract. So I think Tract, like Sanct, only makes sense when you're doing like triple Engraver, triple Tract, and you also need like a way to remove like redundancy in case it happens. So I think this might be a little overkill, but it's not necessarily bad, so honestly I'll give him a pass. A very interesting side deck as well, because we're playing, you know, Aerial Eater to send the Hyris to search the Simul Archfiend. So if you're relying on board breakers to beat this deck, you will die. You will absolutely die because they're searching a floodgate on your ass. Joseph Wong, my boy, shoutouts to you. He played Fiendsmith Kashtira as well, but I don't have the deck list. I also don't have the deck list of Yorge, sorry if I butchered your name, with Crystron, Brave Token, Speedroids. But I do have the deck list of my top 32 opponent. So I actually have a lot of things to say about this one, even though you may not have heard much about him. I don't really know if he speaks English, but shoutouts to you if you're watching this. So yeah, I won the dice roll against him. I pretty much FTK'd him on game 1. Game 2, I sight, so I have 18 hand traps, and then 2 lightning storms, a duster. I draw absolutely nothing at all. He goes Silent Mining, discard Imperm. All I needed was an Ash, and I won the game on the spot, but I didn't. I drew literally nothing. 1 hand trap, and I feel like I would have won, because Silent Mining, discard Imperm, that's pretty bad. And turns out all the other cards in his hand were like trap cards, so he set a bunch of back row against me, and he physically hard drew Different Dimension Ground. He didn't thrust into it, and he only plays 1 Different Dimension Ground, so it's really interesting. And I believe he might have also had Dimensional Bear. I'm not 100% sure, but I do know I did get debarred a couple of times this YCS, and it changed absolutely nothing because Crystron does not lose to like debarr calling literally anything. You can call Synchro, I don't care, I'm just gonna make Infinity and Crystallos and stuff, and if you call Xyz, well, I don't care, I'm just gonna make Dragster and Corian Gondrax and destroy you anyways. But yeah, I mean, it's a really cool deck. I definitely saw the relinks of like the 3rd Veilings against me. So yeah, he did win into all 3 of them. He played very well, by the way. So he clearly understands how to play this deck to absolute perfection. And I'm pretty sure he also won a regional in the city like not too long ago. So he already had experience prior to like the YCS with Salamangrate, like a high level experience. And this is the reason why these players, they manage to like, you know, translate their results from like smaller events to like big events, because they play the deck religiously. They know that people are going to misplay against them. And honestly, it gives you a huge edge because, like I said, I can't really think of like a single incorrect play that he's done against me. He played very, very well, so huge shoutouts to him. And yeah, I mean, it's a pretty consistent deck. I mean, it's a cool deck overall. I didn't see the mirror at all. I don't really understand why it's there. Same thing with Code of Soul. I'm not like against them. It's just that I guess there's probably a reason for that. Maybe it might be like the Brotherhood of the Far-Fist Horse Prince. But from what I remember, usually you kind of want to like special summon Ash with this, and then like Sunlight will fit back. Maybe there was like another reason. There was also not like the EMP Meow Mine. There was no Sprite Sprint. So he definitely plays the deck differently from how I play it. But at the same time, he's the one that topped the YCS with it, not me. So that's really nice. And yeah, very clean side deck as well. Definitely like pretty much all the decisions that he's made, so that's awesome. I think that's pretty much it for the deck list. I mean, yeah, a bunch of like cool deck lists. Unfortunately, we don't have like White Forest, even though it doesn't matter because this one is going to change drastically once we get Alliance Insight. But yeah, overall, like I said, great YCS outcome. Really happy with like my own performance. And also the event overall was really nice. Was super fun as well. And this format is like absolute pure perfection. I can't wait to make a video on how I feel about the current format right before Alliance Insight and how it's going to change in basically just a couple of days, if not like already. So yeah, I mean, I think people are already have like the physical cards on them right now. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.